sunshine, Miss Sierra. Today, I want to talk about passion with you because we all have it in us, whether you have passion for fashion or anything else, really. But just remember, we all need time. Make sure to try, make sure for inspiration, of course, mindfulness, and effort. So make sure to always use this in whatever your passion is. Make sure to leave in the comments as well what your passion is, because I would love to hear it. Next, I'm going to go ahead to my guest star, Darlene. Hi, Darlene. How are you?
I'm great, Sierra. How are you?
I'm doing good. So, what is your passion?
My passion is filmmaking and acting.
Okay. How did you get started?
Well, I'm a graduate from the Art Institute of Las Vegas, and that's how I became a film major. But even before that, I have to go back to high school. I got interested in theater back when I was a freshman in high school, and I did a little bit of it when I was in community college. And then I went on hiatus from acting for a little while to focus on going to work and other things in my life. And then I got bitten by the acting bug later on when I went to film school. So that's how I got started with the whole making movies and such.
Okay. I just have to ask real quick. What's the acting bug?
When you have the desire to step into different roles
Oh, I
and tell
definitely get
stories
that.
and becomes, well, in every character, I like to put parts of myself into
Of
into
course.
everything that I do, even if the character is so much unlike me, like the character that I play now in my web series called Piece of Me. I mean, on some fundamental level, on the surface, she is nothing like me, but that's really deceptive because there are elements of me in that character. I have to do it with every character that I play.
Of course.
You have to
Uh,
find something of yourself to make it true to sell it to the audience.
as a fellow actor, I really feel that.
Hmm.
But I also love acting because I don't have to be Sierra Pittman for a day.
Right?
Sometimes it's exhausting. I'm like,
Sometimes it is
wow, I
exhausting to
want to
be
be
yourself.
someone else for a day.
Right?
Okay, so what kind of productions have you put out there?
Well, I have to go back to my previous productions I want to talk about first. The first major projects that I worked on for the last 5 years, 6 years, since 2015, I came up with the idea called Stripped, which is a web series about Milo and Lainey, their childhood friends. They fall in love over the course of the series, but the twist is that Milo is gay and Lainey is straight. And Milo is played by Alex Kirsting, and Lainey is played by myself. And I was doing that on and off for the past 5 6 years. And I actually have my pilot out on a website called sideshow.com. It's CIDshow.com. And our pilot is there. And I put it on hold temporarily until I could raise more funds because we have to get the initial tickets sold, which is a fancy way of saying crowdfunding, because they're an independent filmmaking platform based in San Francisco, and so uh, viewers have to contribute toward the the shows that are on there in order for them to get funded for more episodes.
Right.
So there's that project, and then the prequel film that I did called The Auction, which focuses on a group of people who go to the liquidation sale at the Riviera, and they're trapped inside the hotel and they have to escape with their lives from sinister forces that are beyond their control. So that also follows Milo because he's an activist for Vegas history. And I actually came up with that idea after Stripped
Oh,
because,
really?
yeah, because I'm such a proponent for Vegas history. And when I found out that the Riviera was going to be imploded, I knew how much of a big deal it was for to have a movie made there, because there have been so many TV shows, movies, and music videos made there over the past 60 years that it was in business. So I tried to legitimately get through to film at the hotel before it was blown up, but I couldn't get past the red tape of the LVCVA and the advertising agency R&R Partners. And also, it would have cost an exorbitant amount of money.
Of
Um,
course.
I uh, I did my best through fundraisers, and I did an Indiegogo campaign, but I was only able to raise so much. So I had a friend that was doing a documentary about the implosion. So he befriended a security guard during the Jason Bourne filming, and he was able to get me B-roll of the real hotel that I used in the auction, and then I'm also going to use in Stripped for subsequent episodes. So that's what I've been doing on and off for the past 5, 6 years. And then I'm also planning to do a graphic novel about the auction. So
Okay.
there's a lot that I have to do with these two projects that are on the back burner right now because of the pandemic.
Okay.
So, which brings me to my current two projects that are in development right now. One of them is a story called Piece of Me. My character is named Lisa. She's very paranoid about the pandemic. She is so over the top with her cleanliness, with her OCD, with wearing masks even at home, in the shower, when she goes to bed. She wears her gloves
Wow.
everywhere. Yeah, she's
I
hard.
just gotta say,
She's
she
hard.
sounds like a real Karen.
She's hardcore. But her bubble, her piece is disturbed by two different pizza delivery guys. One of them is named James, who is a socially awkward nerd. He's played by Ben Rodriguez. And the other one is a ladies' man called Jimmy. He's played by Mikey D'Orsi. And they're two actors that I'm working with right now from UNLV.
Okay.
And yeah, two completely different guys. And they both want her because she doesn't want them. And then she's got her creepy neighbor Doug that won't leave her alone either. And she's got a nosy landlord that is snooping around in her business. So anybody can be a murderer in this story because it is a murder mystery, and you know the audience has to figure out who the killer is. And it all has to do with the pandemic and also about masks and social distancing and the whole
I love that.
like because Jimmy is on the complete opposite spectrum. He doesn't believe in COVID. He doesn't believe in wearing masks. He's a free spirit, and she's this very rigid militant person, and they clash with their opposing viewpoints. And then James is so desperate to be with Lisa. You know, he's just so socially awkward that he just doesn't know how to talk to women. He's one of those types. So I mean, in a way, it's kind of like a parody of two different types of guys that I've known in my lifetime. You know, being out there
Okay,
just
so you
dating
can
and relationships.
So those characters are pretty much based off of maybe some past lovers.
Yeah, if you want to get real, if you want to be honest, if you want to get real, yeah.
All right. Well, that's
I mean,
definitely
they say that you know the best experiences are drawn from your real life. So
exactly. Okay. Well, that sounds really interesting.
yeah.
So, so when you started film production, were you nervous?
When I started Piece of Me, yeah, I was because I hadn't done a project in a long time, not since Stripped. So, and also, but I came up with this idea because I actually had the inspiration from a real life incident. Like I had an awkward pizza delivery guy from Pizza Hut come to my door and ask me all kinds of inappropriate questions. And you know, I used to live in an apartment complex that was divided in two that had the same apartment numbers
Oh yeah.
that was separated by a golf course. And you know, on Christmas Eve, there was another pizza guy, I think from Pizza Hut, that came and was like, "Oh, this is your pizza." I'm like, "No, that's you've got the other. You must be going to the other apartment number." So that's why that's in the pilot with James.
Okay.
You know, that gave me the inspiration. So yeah, so that also brings me to the other project that's in development that I wrote the script already. I wrote the script in 3 days. It's probably the fastest I've ever written a project. It's called Alter Ego, and it follows Jimmy, the ladies' man, and through all his scandalous adventures with picking up women. He's a kept man, but he gets bored with his arrangement with an older woman, an older wealthy woman that pays for his living. So he gets a job out of boredom.
Okay.
And he seduces the manager, Avery, who's played by Lauren Tauber. He seduces her into getting a job as a pizza delivery guy, and he uses the job as an excuse to pick up women.
Wow. That is definitely. I can think of a few people that I know that would definitely do that.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought Jimmy's character was too good, and I thought, you know, why not make a movie about a ladies' man? Because I've always kind of wanted to do a project about that type of character.
So you've obviously done a lot of writing, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done a lot of writing. Yeah, I think that the more projects that I do, the better that I get at it. I've learned a lot of tough lessons over the last 11 years. It hasn't always been easy, you know. the execution of my projects hasn't always been the best. I haven't always worked with the right people. People have come and gone over the years, whether it was because we fell out or they moved away or they got involved with other projects, whatever it was. But I'm still going no matter what. I'm
Exactly.
still
I
going
mean,
to get my work out there. I'm still going to have my voice, my vision heard and seen by people.
so if you had to give any advice to someone who maybe wants to get into film production but doesn't know how, what would you tell them?
Start small. I went too big with the auction and stripped. That was my mistake with those two projects because I underestimated how much money and how much time and uh it would take because it's been 6 years now. Yeah, well, it'll be 6 years in September, and I'm still not done with stripped. But I know that someday it will be finished.
Of course.
Yeah, someday it will be finished. Some projects take time. It takes time. Like, look at the Queen's Gambit. It took like what, over 30 years for that project from the time that the book was written until it's been on Netflix. Like, it took all this time
Exactly.
for it to get to where it was finally a completed, finished film and
I mean, and
or series.
isn't that everything that life is just time? Like, you gotta take time to do stuff.
Yeah, I would just say, like, if you're serious about being a filmmaker, just start small, start with your friends, start with people who are new and want to gain experience. That's how I've been able to do Piece of Me, because I have these great actors from UNLV that just want to gain experience. I have quite a few people from UNLV that are helping me out right now. So,
Well, that sounds great.
yeah.
Wow. You've definitely done a lot with your life, haven't you?
Yeah, I guess you could say that I've done a lot with my life. Yeah.
So, what would you say is the most difficult thing about film production?
I think actually making it is the most difficult part of it. Um, because things will happen on set that you don't anticipate. Things will happen, like Murphy's Law. If something will go wrong, it will. Like, you have to be prepared to have plan B, C, D, E, F. Like, you have to always have a backup plan when you're on set. So, and then also, it can be difficult when you have to do a dramatic scene, like, because I'm so like, lately these days I've found that I'm gravitating more towards serious things, serious themes in my work, whereas before I used to, comedy was my
Okay.
forte. But yeah, this past Saturday I had to do a very difficult scene with Mikey, who plays Jimmy, and it was it was I wasn't even like I was in a good mood that day, and it was hard to like reach a place where I had to like tap into darker emotions and be angry.
Of course.
But like, the improv really helps, because it's just like he was saying things at me and it was like really hurting my feelings, and I had to say things back at him, and I had to constantly keep thinking, like, what else can I say? What else can I say to like get back at him for what he said? You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, that's also a challenge, is like when you have to do the acting part of it, and tap into emotions that are raw and more difficult to deal with. Because comedy is easy for me. People say that comedy is hard, but like, for me, it's easier to make people laugh than
Exactly.
it is to make people upset or to make them cry or something. Like, but yeah, I think, like, yeah, from the crew part of it, behind the scenes of it, is like actually making it, and like, because I think that pre-production, like organizing it and casting it, I mean, that has that has challenges within itself, and also putting it together, the editing part. But I think like the actual making of it is like the most difficult part for me. And then I have a great cinematographer. I have a new guy, Ben Rodriguez's cousin. His name's Felix Escobar, and he technically his work has amazed me. Like, it looks really good now. Now it's starting to look and feel like a TV show.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but we have completely different working styles. It's just like, it's so funny that that he's like real go with the flow, and then, like, in comparison to me, like, I've been told that I'm like more organized in comparison to him. I'm like, I've never thought of myself as organized in my life. I'm like probably the most disorganized person that I know, but in comparison to him and how he just goes with the flow, and I'm more like, hey, maybe we should like try it like this way instead. He's like, no, Darlene, you gotta like loosen up and do this. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll do it your way. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think he's like taught me more about spontaneity, whereas like, we kind of like have to throw the rules out the window and think outside the box.
And sometimes that's the best way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever heard of high school? Throw all those rules out the window.
Throw all those
I don't
rules
want to
out the
deal with
windows.
them.
Right?
No, I definitely see where you're coming from, and I've seen that. I can see that you've done a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really amazed and I'm inspired. All right. Well, I think that's the end of the show, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and go ahead and leave right there in the comments what you're passionate about.
Hee-haw!